I was reading this story about a man who couldn't stay consistent going to the gym. Like, no matter how hard he tried, he just couldn't stick with it. But then one day, he was like, forget it. I'm just gonna go to the gym for like 2 minutes and then leave. And that's it. And that's what he did. Every day, he would go to the gym, stay there for literally 2 minutes, and then leave. And then one day, he went to the gym, and he was like, well, I'm already here. I might as well work out longer. And so he worked out longer. And then the next day, he went to the gym. Oh, I'm already here. Might as well work out longer. And he finally built the habit of going to the gym and stayed consistent with it and lost weight. When I read that story, it felt like a punch to the face. I'm not gonna lie, because I saw myself in that man. But it wasn't the gym that I'd been trying to be consistent in, even though that was something I struggled to be consistent in, but just my whole life. You know, everything I wanted to do, I could not be consistent with. I wanted to write more, could not be consistent with it. I wanted to read more, could not be consistent with it. I wanted to meditate, could not be consistent with it. There were so many things I wanted to do that I just wasn't. And then I realized why in that story. It's because I wasn't just showing up. No, I thought I had to show up and do something to be consistent. Like, you can't, why would I, if I want to be consistent writing, why would I write a sentence? If I'm going to write, I need to write for like 30 minutes, an hour, right? No. The only thing consistency asks you to do is show up. Consistency doesn't ask you to show up and show out. It just asks you to show up. The problem with showing up and showing out is that you don't feel like doing a lot all the time. You don't. And you only feel like it because you're motivated in the moment. And that was something that I struggled with, especially with writing. Because I was getting an idea of a story I really wanted to go into. I'd get excited. And then for like a week straight, I'm showing up and writing for hours on end. But when that excitement wore off, and now it's time to put in the hard work and the dedication and focus needed to actually write out a whole story, I couldn't sustain that level of that type of effort. And because I couldn't sustain that, I just stopped writing. Because I'm only going to write when I can do all that. When I can do like an hour, 30 minutes. But if I can't do it, if I don't feel like it, then why would I do it? That's a waste of time. And that's what kept me inconsistent. Because more times than not, I didn't want to do that high level yet. And the reason why is because I hadn't built up to the person who could sustain that high amount of effort and focus. So I just didn't do it. But after reading that story, I was like, well, what is my 2 minutes for writing? Because I really want to get into writing. I said, I'm just gonna write one word. So every day I just showed up to write one word. And would you believe it when I tell you, at one point I was starting to write and I said, I'm already writing, I might as well keep going. And I just started writing more. And every day I started writing more. And I kept staying consistent with it. And then I got to a point where I was filling up notebooks by hand. I've written guidebooks. I even got hired to go write a book for somebody. And I wrote it in like 2 or 3 months. Hold on, I gotta sneeze. No, it went away. But that all happened because I showed up for what I wanted to do. I didn't show up and show out and try to do the most. I showed up. And that's all you gotta do for whatever you want to achieve. You just show up. What's a 2-minute thing? No more than 2-minute thing can you do for whatever it is you're struggling to do, you're struggling to be consistent in. When it came to making content, my 2-minute thing was just talking in voice memos. Like, that is how small I started. I didn't start talking to a camera first. I started talking to a voice memo and it was during my walk because I just wanted to get used to speaking about something for a long amount of time. And then I just started walking and would just talk to myself for like 20 minutes. And then I just translate that over to here. But it started with me just talking a little bit in a voice memo. When it came to reading, it was, I'm going to read 5 pages a day, every day. Really quick, really easy. When it came to doing push-ups, I just was going to do 10 push-ups. And then I built up to doing more. And I was able to stay consistent in that. And I want you to really understand that. Because if you try the model of consistency that you think you have to do, whereas you have to show up and do a lot, you won't be consistent. Like, you're gonna struggle with that. So I want you to change your viewpoint and think of consistency as you showing up to do the bare minimum. And if you only show up to do the bare minimum, you will never be inconsistent again. Now, the next dilemma is, well, if I'm only doing the bare minimum, but I'm consistent, yeah, I'm still doing something, but it's the bare minimum. What is reading 5 pages a day gonna do for me? What is doing 10 push-ups a day gonna do for me? What is writing 1 word a day gonna do for me? Well, first of all, if you read 5 pages a day of a book, you'll finish the book in a month. But that's besides the point. I don't want to get into the maths. It's not what you get in the beginning. That's the mindset shift you gotta have. It's who you're becoming. Because you're showing to your subconscious that you are a writer. Why? Because you showed up every day and you wrote 1 word. You're showing to your subconscious that you're the person who takes care of their health. Why? Because every single day you get down and you do some push-ups. You're showing to your subconscious that you are a reader, because every day you're showing up to read 5 pages. And so as you keep showing up and changing who you identify as, you will eventually just do more. Like that, you just do more as you become more of that person. And not only that, but if you get into the law of motion, which states an item of motion tends to stay in motion unless acted upon by force of energy, and something out of motion tends to stay out of motion unless acted upon by force of energy. You are getting in motion by just showing up. Like, you're just moving. So when you're in motion, when you just show up to read, when you just show up to write, when you just show up to do whatever you want to do, you're gonna more than likely feel like doing more, because you're already in motion of doing that thing, and things in motion tend to stay in motion. So don't worry about the idea of, like, if I do the bare minimum, am I really gonna grow? You're naturally gonna want to keep doing more as you feel the momentum kicking in and your identity changes. I just want that to be very clear for you. Now, if you stuck to the end of this video and you're interested in getting more help, I have a starter kit that is designed to help get your life together. It's the only link in my description. You can click that. And also, I'm curious, how many of you watching this video have watched more than like 3 of my videos? I'm curious to know how many people are like returning versus who's new. So let me know in the comments. Either way, I'm going to see you. I'll be checking the comments this week, but I normally stay off YouTube, so I'm not going to be on it too often. But I just want to see. Anyway, I'll see you for the next video.